Most 6th-round picks never lace up for one pro game. Math is just brutal. Expectations are non-existent. Selection 171 in 1998 was supposed to fade away like others. But that script failed, or maybe everything actually went exactly as it was meant to. Then they paired me with him. He could not speak a lick of English, but he was easily the most talented player I have ever witnessed. Story of pick 171, a kid outside of everyone's radar. Datsyuk strips the puck and scores. This is Pavel Datsyuk, the man fellow pros labeled as being the greatest two-way force in the whole wide world. Long before the titles, before the hardware and the highlights that left goalies looking like rookies, he was just another young Russian kid. No team wanted him. 2 draft years passed without anyone ever calling him. 1996 and 97 passed. Over 480 players were taken, yet scouts ignored him. Scouts had their reasons, and those red flags looked legitimate on the official paper. Standing only 5'11", he lacked the pure size that pro teams craved way back in the late 90s. He was skating for Dynamo Yekaterinburg in the Russian Super League back then. He was thousands of miles from the North American rinks where pro scouts usually clocked in all their working hours. When they actually saw him, his strange walk was the first thing noticed. Being bow-legged and pigeon-toed, Datsyuk moved with a twitchy stride that made him look incredibly awkward once he stepped off the ice rink's very cold, hard white surface. Scouts saw that shuffle and stopped looking any deeper. However, Håkan Andersson, the Detroit Red Wings head of European scouting, never missed it. The one specific individual who truly stands out. Håkan's main find was Datsyuk, a genuine superstar discovered in the late rounds during the summers of 1997 and also during the whole year of 1998. Andersson had traveled to Moscow on a mission to evaluate a defenseman named Kalinin. The report he turned in later hardly even mentioned him. Instead, Andersson focused his notes on a smaller forward playing on the opposing team, calling him a small kid who controlled the puck in a way unlike anyone else on the rink. Andersson ended up making a second journey to verify what he saw. He even set up a third visit to watch Datsyuk, but a massive snowstorm trapped his flight in Moscow, so that scouting trip never actually happened. Turns out a scout from the Calgary Flames was on that same plane. Due to that storm, Andersson is convinced he was the only pro scout to see Datsyuk play before that whole 1998 draft. Detroit finally took a chance. 6th-round pick, 171 overall. At that stage of the draft, teams are basically throwing darts in the dark, praying that something actually sticks. The message was clear. 170 players were selected before his name. All 30 teams had passed on him several times. Even the Wings had absolutely zero real expectations for the Russian kid. A 6th-round pick was a lottery ticket, not a prospect. He remained in Russia for 2 more additional seasons. Played 98 for Yekaterinburg, then moved to Kazan in 2001. Detroit held his rights, yet they felt absolutely no rush to bring him over. The league had already made up its mind, and Pavel Datsyuk was aware. While playing back home in Russia, he carried a heavy burden that had absolutely zero connection to hockey. His mother passed away when he was only 15, a tragedy that almost ended his career before it had even truly ever officially started. Still skating in Russia, ignored by the league, he always fantasized about joining, mourning his mother while watching peers get called up while he sat there completely forgotten. At that point, Datsyuk actually thought about hanging up skates. But he didn't quit. Detroit kept waiting. That one defining question started to loom large. What did a single scout manage to see that 30 teams and 170 draft picks missed? Could Detroit really mold a 6th-round afterthought into a generational talent that would leave the entire league absolutely speechless? Detroit successfully brought Datsyuk to North America during the year 2001. But the organization wisely refused to force him into a major role that he wasn't yet equipped to handle. Landing there at age 23, he showed up as one of the older rookies in this league, carrying the heavy burden of a language he could not speak and a culture he did not understand. Teammates described him as being shy, even to the point of being entirely invisible. He was stunned by the frantic pace of the NHL and clearly struggled during meetings where English dominated every single conversation. The Red Wings utilized a support system built purely for the benefit of Russian players. Igor Larionov, a legendary veteran center who was widely regarded as one of the premier two-way forwards in the game. took it upon himself to refine Datsyuk's defensive habits while showing him how to navigate the complex North American systems. Sergei Fedorov, yet another elite Russian superstar on the roster, assisted with the massive lifestyle changes that come with living in a totally foreign country. The captain Steve Yzerman led by example and set the standard for the tireless work ethic that Datsyuk would later be famous for. The organization funded English lessons and set up housing situations meant to smooth over his difficult transition. Detroit provided him with time structure and patience. He spent an extra 2 hours on the ice every single day, grinding through stick handling drills until his palms were raw. The puck became a true extension of his body through repetition that bordered on being totally compulsive. He eventually detailed the specific mindset that fueled it, saying that in Russia times were tough and we had only one puck. I always wanted that puck, so I learned exactly how to keep it, how to create more space, and how to take it when the other guy had it. He studied videos of his rivals with that same intensity, dissecting their habits and engineering clever counters for maneuvers he had not even seen yet. The legendary highlight reel dekes that would eventually be called Datsyukiin were built during those grueling extra hours, perfected through constant trial and error until they became pure instinct. During the 2001 and 2002 campaign, his official NHL rookie season, Coach Scotty Bowman decided to slot him onto a line with Brett Hull and Boyd Devereaux, a unit that Hull jokingly dubbed the two kids and a GOAT line as a nod to his older age. Hull, entering his late 30s, became a surprisingly effective mentor. The trio was effective because each specific player fulfilled a distinct role. Devereaux provided the raw speed, Datsyuk offered the vision and playmaking, while Hull finished off the plays. Datsyuk tallied 35 total points that first regular season. While those stats seemed average on paper, they actually hinted at a much higher ceiling. Teammates started noticing a skill set that separated him from every other forward they had ever seen. His poke check functioned with absolute surgical precision, stripping pucks from opposing players without ever actually drawing a penalty. Defensive ability at that level, paired with his unique offensive creativity, made him a problem that opponents could not solve using traditional coverage. Hull recognized what was developing well before most other players did. He told reporters he was the most talented human he had ever seen, and he was still just learning. Once he figures the game out a bit more, he is going to dominate this league like nobody else in this modern era. That claim carried significant weight since Hull had been surrounded by world-class talent throughout his legendary career. The 2002 playoffs served as the ultimate litmus test for Hull's prediction, proving if a 6th-round flyer could deliver when championships were contested. His rookie campaign ended with a Stanley Cup title. That young skater chipped in 6 points during Detroit's run, netting 3 goals and 3 helpers as the legendary Red. Wings secured the 10th championship in franchise history, a massive achievement for a 6th-round pick in his very first professional season. Winning that title validated every hunch Haken Anderson had in that Moscow hockey rink years prior. Detroit was right to remain very patient, right to invest, and right to trust a player that 30 other professional franchises ignored. This moment represented a new beginning rather than his peak. Between 2003 and 2006, Datsyuk evolved from a skilled scorer into a complete two-way force. His defensive skills sharpened under the veteran Larionov's continued mentorship, and the league noticed what teammates already knew. In 2006, he earned his inaugural Lady Byng Memorial Trophy, an annual award given to the player exhibiting the best blend of sportsmanship, gentlemanly conduct, and high-level scoring ability. This trophy recognized a very rare trait in hockey, a star who was capable of elite scoring production without ever resorting to lazy penalties or dirty plays. He captured the Lady Byng 4 straight times from 2006 through 2009, becoming the first player in 70 years to do that. His peak arrived between 2007 and 10. Detroit hoisted its 2nd Stanley Cup with Datsyuk in 2008, where his postseason performance demonstrated a total and complete mastery of play. He tallied 23 points throughout 22 high-pressure playoff games, chipping in 10 goals and 13 assists as Detroit beat the Philadelphia Penguins in 6 games. During the next season, he notched a career-best 97 points and earned a Hart Trophy nomination as the league's most valuable player for that specific year. The 2008-9 campaign also brought his first Selke Trophy as the National Hockey League's premier defensive forward. This prize he won for 3 straight years through 10. Simply put, no modern-day player has combined elite scoring with elite defense at that very specific level. The legendary Hull who teamed with Datsuk during those years, once told the press, "He is the smartest guy I have ever played with. The statistics were totally mind-boggling between 2006 and 2013. Datsuk led the entire league in takeaways 4 times, totaling 696 steals. The next player had 488. That isn't a lead, that is total dominance. His poke check remained surgically accurate, easily stealing pucks away from frustrated opponents, without ever taking any penalties. His offensive flair turned simple plays into legendary highlights. Opponents could not guess his next move, because Datsuk himself did not always know his plan until the very second that the moment finally required it. Fans and media alike called him the magician for dekes that seemed to break physics and made all-star defensemen look completely lost. He was a wizard out there on the ice, but he also worked incredibly hard on every shift. Everyone inside the building understood that his value went far beyond the typical highlight reel footage. Coach Mike Babcock explained the incredible mental processing that set Datsuk apart from every other elite player. If you are down by 1 goal late in the game, who do you want? Ovechkin, Crosby, Malkin, or perhaps Datsuk? You would take any. But if you are protecting a narrow lead in the final minute of play, you want Pav out there every shift. General Manager Ken Holland put his versatility simply, what exactly do you need from him? Maybe a goal, a penalty, kill a face-off win, or a clutch takeaway. Even a hit. Pavel does anything at any time as well as anyone else in the game. Todd Bertuzzi, who played with some of the league's all-time best during his entire career, stated it plainly, "I'll tell you right now that Pavel Datsuk is the man. Is the absolute best player I have ever played with." When Zdeno Chara captained one team at the 2012 All-Star Game, he used his first overall selection to pick Datsuk, explaining he is just an unbelievable hockey player. "I really admire the way he plays the game and how he acts both on and off the ice surface." A poll of NHL players ranked him the second best in the league, trailing only the great Sidney Crosby. This recognition was no longer just about potential. Datsuk had become what Hull predicted, a player who dominated the league like no one else during his own era. Across 14 seasons with the Detroit Red Wings organization, Datsuk played 953 regular season games and got 918 points through goals and assists. His career plus rating, minus rating of positive 187, stood in contrast to his penalty minutes, which totaled just 172. The gap between those two numbers revealed the true essence of his game. Dominant without being dirty, and effective without ever crossing lines. During his peak prime years, he never fell below a point per game pace, maintaining offensive production that matched his elite defensive excellence. He earned selections to 4 separate NHL All-Star games. The hardware accumulated in ways that set him apart from almost every player in league history today. His 2 Stanley Cup championships anchored a large trophy case that included 3 consecutive Frank J. Selke trophies as the league's very best defensive forward. The 4 consecutive Lady Byng Memorial trophies from 2006 through 2009 made him the first to win it 4 straight. Straight years in over 70 years, a streak not matched since the days of Frank Boucher. Of the Rangers won from 1933 to 1935. Datsuk and Ron Francis remain the only 2 players in NHL history to win both the Selke Trophy and Lady Byng Trophy. A pairing that surely requires elite performance on both ends of the rink while maintaining the sportsmanship that most heavy physical play eliminates. Datsuk represented Russia at 5 separate Olympic Games in 2002, 2006, 10-14, and 2018, serving as the team captain in both 2014 and 2018. He captured a bronze medal in 2002 and gold at the 2018 Winter Olympics. His gold medal performance at the 2012 World Championship completed his entry into the Triple Gold Club, an exclusive group of players who have won the Stanley Cup Olympic Gold and the World Championship Gold. The combination of league dominance and international success cemented his status among the absolute all-time greats of the sport. 170 players went before him in 1998. 30 teams passed him over twice. Those teams watched him win 2 championship rings, 3 separate Selke trophies, and 4 Lady Byng trophies, while redefining what a two-way forward could actually achieve on ice. The 171st pick became a Hall of Famer, while first rounders from those same drafts faded away. In 2016, at age 37, Datsyuk left the NHL to return to Russia and be closer to his daughter. He played 5 more years in the Russian KHL. He suited up for SKA St. Petersburg from 2016 through 19 and Yekaterinburg until 21, finally retiring at the age of 43. Back in 2017, during the league's big 100th anniversary celebration, they officially named him one of the 100 greatest players ever, even while he was still playing his game across the pond. 7 years later, in 2024, the Hall of Fame inducted him during his very first year of eligibility. A kid passed over twice before being picked 171st overall finally became a legend with 2 Stanley Cup championship rings, plus 3 Selke trophies and 4 Lady Byng awards for his outstanding sportsmanship. Detroit spotted a diamond in the rough that 30 other franchises completely overlooked, and the patience to develop him properly resulted in a career that redefined what two-way forwards could actually achieve. He delivered 2 massive titles to the city and became the most well-rounded attacker of his era, proving elite talent isn't always what every scout wants. The ignored prospect turned into the superstar that every opponent truly feared, and he did it all without ever forgetting the grit it took to get there. That isn't just skill, it is absolute mastery. For more stories about the legends the league tried to overlook, go ahead and hit subscribe. We uncover the gritty truth that the mainstream sports media always skips.